Join us for lively discussion about the A-State community. Each week, we'll meet with a variety of faculty, staff, and students to discuss all things Arkansas State University. Live from the ASU-TV studios in the School of Media and Journalism, this is A-State Connections. And this is A-State Connections on KASU and ASU-TV. You can also listen by searching for Red Wolf Radio on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. I'm Jonathan Reeves, Academic Advisor for the School of Media and Journalism in the Department of Communication at Arkansas State. Well, today we're talking about the state of journalism with Rick Fires. This fall's Dr. Joel T. Gambill Distinguished Alumni Speaker and Sandra Combs, Associate Professor and Faculty Advisor to the A-State Herald. Thank you both for joining us here today. Welcome to A-State Connections.
Man, it's been so long since I've been here. I didn't know that Caraway Road is blocked off. I'm trying to get here, and I'm on, what's this? And I call Sam, and she gets me over here, so I'm just thrilled to be here. I don't know about distinguished, but I am certainly glad to be back at ASU, where I got my start in journalism. I've been doing it for 40 years.
So tell us about yourself and how you came to Arkansas State, and when was that?
My parents we was part of the people that moved up north. You know, my parents have worked in the fields and a lumber yard and had to get out of that, and they moved up there and worked in the big car factories and all that. So, but my parents got divorced, and so we moved back to Arkansas. I started off here for about a year and a half, then I had to go get a job and yada yada, you know, and then, but I still wanted to come back. And so about 6-7 years after I started college, I finally graduated right here, May 14th, 1984. And it really changed my life, and been doing a job I've enjoyed for 40 years. I call it work, but I've never gone a day where I didn't enjoy going to work.
Yeah, and that's the main thing about it, is that when you're able to find a position like that where you don't feel like that you're working, you know, even though you're at a job, that's the best part about it. That's what you really want for students and for everybody. So
yeah, I'm 68 years old, and I still enjoy it. I'm getting toward the end of my career, but I've got relatives, man, they're retiring. They said they can't wait. You know, I got a cousin, his sales job and everything. He's made 3 times more money than I have, but I live comfortably, and I enjoy getting up every morning. I don't think I've ever started a day where, man, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do this. Nope. Ready to go.
Yeah. So now, Sam, one thing I know that you have enjoyed having him, I know.
Oh, absolutely.
In this. It's definitely, between the both of you, that's entertaining. I would love to see a class with both of you teaching at the same time.
I don't have to do workout or everything. I've been following her around campus all day. I'm worn out.
What is your step count? That's what I want to know.
Mine's about 7,000 right now.
Yeah, more than I had last month, I guarantee it. I'm looking for a couch right now, as soon as this is over.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
Well, just stay awake for about another 20 or so minutes or whatever, and then you can snooze afterwards.
All right.
All right, that sounds great. So what does it mean, Sam, to be able to have someone like Rick to be able to talk to students about journalism, especially in a time when we need journalism more than ever?
Absolutely. My theme now is journalism matters now more than ever. And to have someone the caliber of Rick Fires and someone who's done sports, many of our students want to do sports, whether it's in broadcast, print, podcasts. I've got one student in my sports reporting class who wants to be the next Stephen A. Smith. Now he wants to have his own commentary about sports. And that's admirable. One of the things I want to introduce them to, and one of the reasons why we have Rick, is to let them know that there is a future in journalism, whether it's on TV or print or online or whatever. And he can tell you about the different aspects of it that he has come through in 40 years.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. How have things changed over the years, from when you started to how it is right now in your 40-year career?
Well, even though I've been a sports writer for 25 years, I got my start covering city council, school board. You know, it's good to learn all that, because you're not just going to go out there and, you know, the score is this team won, that team won. You're going to have to do some things that's real journalism skills. I think I covered a school that went on probation, and we had to, really dig deep down in there. And so it's just more than going out and rah, 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 this team won, that team won. The things the newspaper business has changed is that now we're multimedia.
Yeah.
For years I just, typed up the score, shove it out, shove it. Now I do a podcast. I do little TV interview. I do a Rick's Pick show, everything, where I tell the people this team's going to win, that team, 3 teams are going to win. Then they go 0-3. So no gambling, no gambling.
No gamble.
Yeah. You don't know what you're talking about. But so anyhow, we do. And when I cover a basketball game, I'm standing out there, and it's called B-roll. So I guess young people, and nothing against you all, young people, but it's my theory that young people don't believe anything happened unless there was a video with it.
Yeah.
So that was different from my days. So you have to be able to do multiple things. It's more than just sports reporting. And so that's been my journey right there. Start off with doing city council, going down there to courthouse and getting marriage license, divorce license, all that. And now I've moved into sports reporting, and it's been fun for me.
Yeah, although I have to say I'm thankful that there wasn't video in my younger days. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm glad there wasn't evidence. That's all I'm talking about there and all that.
One of the stories that Rick talked about today in one of our classes was Bobby Petrino.
Okay, Bobby Petrino.
It was not a game story. It was not a game story.
So this is more than just trying to beat deadline. Your biggest challenge, if you get into a sports report, trying to beat deadline on a Friday night, Saturday night, that's key. Test yourself. You got to go watch ASU play. 10 minutes after that game's over, go write you a game story. All right, you got to be done in 10 minutes. Go. So test yourself on that. I can sit there and write a feature in the middle of the afternoon, early in the morning, and but we had a situation when Bobby Petrino was a football coach up here at Arkansas. He decided he had a rough day of practice. He said, I'm going to get on my motorcycle. I'm just go down the trail a little bit, kind of, just ease off a little bit, kind of relax a little bit. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, rough day. Comes back, I don't know, a few hours later. I mean, this happened years ago. I don't know exactly how it happened, but comes back and he's all scratched up, and he's wearing a neck brace. Bobby, what happened? What happened? Oh, I had a motorcycle accident. I don't know, deer run out in front of me, or I was blinded by something. I don't know what it was. But anyhow, we had like a story. Petrino had a motorcycle wreck, but he's okay.
Yeah.
Woo, all right, okay. So I didn't see this directly, but I heard it from one of my co-workers. Get a phone call. Hey, I saw y'all's story in the paper about Petrino. Yeah. So, man, I'm glad he's okay. Yeah. Well, they were scared, sure. What about the lady, the girl was with him? What? What girl was in? What are you talking about? Yeah, I picked up another girl, a girl over there. You sure she's with Bobby? Yeah, she was scratched up, or she had, it was standing right there by the motorcycle. So investigative reporting, the sports guys had to get on it. Then the news people got on it. And then eventually he was fired. And, not for, people have an affair, but for, lying to his boss, told the athletic director a different story. And he was trying to hire this lady who was highly young, who was unqualified for a job. You got 50 people over here qualified, and he wanted to hire her. So he got fired, every once in a while, we got to have Bobby back. Razorbacks got to have Bobby back. They're really good. Now, any employee at University of Arkansas done that, they've been fired too, so the football coach has to go as well.
Yeah.
And that's journalism right there.
Well, and that's the thing about the state of journalism is that it seems that to me, and I was a news director for commercial radio and also for the NPR affiliate here for years, and it seems that there's more of what's called the spot news that there is out there because the pace of everything is so fast that we have to try to get the news out as quickly as possible. So sometimes in that, there's not really the time, or it could be not the resources to really dig in deep and go into investigative journalism. Sam, talk about the investigative journalism part, and also Rick, want to get your part on this as well. The need for more investigative journalism. It takes time, but for some stories like what you were talking about, Joe Pa from, and others. These stories are important.
They are important, and what's really important is for local media, local TV stations, local radio stations, local newspapers, because they're the ones that are on the ground to get the basic news from the bottom that starts up. If you've got a city council that's doing something, or you've got quorum court, you've got state senators and representatives, it's your local papers, your local TV stations, your local media that's going to cover that. And when you don't have people trained enough to ask the right questions or to do more than rewrite press releases, then we suffer as a community.
Rick?
Yeah, and one thing, Jonathan, you talk about the change in nature of journalism. Now that we got a website, I might get a call at 8:30 in the morning. Hey, the coach quit, or the coach been fired, or this player. So you got to hurry up and get some questions and try to get something real quick to put it out on the website. Then you go back, and then you go do it more thoroughly. But she's talking about local journalists, and it just breaks my heart to see a lot of these newspapers, these daily newspapers, weekly newspapers going down. But I live a little bit outside Fayetteville, and I still get the local paper, the Prairie Grove, Lincoln, Farmington paper. It's a weekly newspaper. I put 50 cents in there, and I'm looking at, man, I love to see all the things that's going around town. And I got my neighbors, they don't even get the paper. And the other day, hey, Prairie Grove's getting a Taco Bell. And so I announced it to everybody. What, Prairie Grove? Where'd you find that out? The newspaper, local news, 50 cents.
Yeah.
So they think I know things, and I don't know, but because I know things because I read the local newspaper. And they just get stuff off the internet, the national, international, but they don't know their own neighborhood.
Well, and one thing also, too, is that you have the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette and others that are now saying, okay, here, with the subscription, you get a tablet or whatever. There's something to me about just physically holding the paper. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you. I'm so old school right now. We still get a print edition on Sundays.
Yeah.
And I'm slumbering, just get to walk my dog and come back in. I hear that noise. Oh, wow, the paper's here. So I run out there and you read at 6 a.m. and then you fall back asleep and you read it at lunchtime, and then you can read it now, you can pick it up. I guess it's changing, and it's really helped our newspaper survive.
Yeah.
It's like a replica on your iPad right there. But man, when I put it in it, ads pop up. I'm like you, John. I'm old school. I'd like to sit there, read.
Because in the morning, for me, it's not the same feel to grab that cup of coffee in your iPad. I mean, no. I want that paper along with the coffee. And feel like you've just had.
I got it spread out, and I can eat a donut in one hand and maybe a sausage biscuit in the other. I'm going, I did put it on my beer belly.
You can't really do that when you're trying to hold the tablet at the same time. I mean, that just doesn't work. Anyway, so Rick Fires is this fall's Dr. Joel T. Gambill Distinguished Alumni Speaker. Sandra Combs is Associate Professor and Faculty Advisor to the A-State Herald. We're going to continue this conversation after this quick timeout. We'll be right back after this.
ASU-TV, shows like Red Wolf Roundtable, ASU-TV News, Westside Football, and more. Gain real-life experience while doing what you love. Get involved with ASU-TV today.
Are you looking for an education that will take you places? At Arkansas State University, we're preparing students for success in today's ever-changing job market. With expert faculty and cutting-edge technology, we're creating an environment where students can thrive and reach their full potential. And with a diverse student body and a supportive community, you'll find plenty of options to get involved and make lifelong connections. Discover all that Arkansas State University has to offer. Apply today and start your journey to a brighter future.
Red Wolf Radio is a student-led organization at Arkansas State University wanting to hear your takes on pop culture, music, the news, and college life. Just about anything you can think of. Located in the Education and Communications building on campus, we are always looking for more volunteers. So if you're an Arkansas State University student, no matter the major, and this is something that interests you, shoot us an email at redwolfradio@astate.edu. That's redwolfradio@astate.edu. Let them hear you howl.
At Arkansas State, we want you to go. Go where learning soars, takes flight, and rockets ahead. Go for experiences, internships, and scholarships. We want you to go. Become A-State Maine. Are you ready to go? Go.astate.edu for details.
Live from the ASU-TV studios in the School of Media and Journalism, this is A-State Connections. And welcome back to A-State Connections on KASU and ASU-TV. Just having a lot of fun here today, continuing the conversation about journalism in the state of Arkansas with Rick Fires and also with Sandra Combs. And Rick, it's great to have you in here today. So I know you've been following Sam around, talking to classes and all that. How's that been going today so far?
Oh, man, it's just Sam, she knows people, and she's always going, hey, how you doing, everything? And she knows the athletic director down to the people, keeping this university beautiful. So I've just been kind of following along. But like I said, I've seen a lot of old. I recognize this, recognize that. But, man, I've been lost if it wasn't for Sam, and really impressed. This, especially the athletic, what I've seen of the new basketball arena and the football stadium. I mean, that's D1 stuff right there. If you're an athlete and you come right there and you walk out on that stadium right there, it looks good on TV. You got the red. I've seen 18 variety of red wolves. They're all over the place, but that's marketing. That's good. I love the redwood on the helmet. So just really impressed what I've seen.
Yeah, because I know that's one of the fun things is to hear people talk about the stories, and of course you and I could talk about stories about yes, Caraway Road went all the way through, Aggie Road went all the way through. We know
I had to hit that brake.
Yeah. You don't want to make a lasting impression that way at Arkansas State for sure. But no, that's a lot of fun to be able to see how the campus has changed and how it continues to change. Walkability is a big thing and all of that.
I'm glad they closed it off.
Yeah.
That's more for the kids. Don't have to worry about some guy in a truck barreling down on you. So up. Really looking good.
I want to talk about journalism in that there's a lot of students who want to do what you do. You're a sports reporter for the Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, and there's that appeal to sports in that. But I really liked how you talked about you weren't always in sports. Why is that important to know the different aspects of being able to do the civic reporting and probably do that first before you go into sports?
Because it's gotten more complicated. Like I think one of the schools I covered went on probation. And we had to really dig into what all that meant and everything. And again, we talked earlier about being an independent voice because everybody's got a website. Everybody, put out press releases and everything. And we'd get feedback from our readers. Oh, that's going to hurt recruiting. That's going to hurt. We can't have that. No. If they're guilty of and they find something, so we got to put that out there. So, you don't play favorites. In journalism, you want to do the best you can. Get to the facts as you know them best you can right there. Don't worry about the outside noise right there.
I think that ties into that when we were going into this, and I've been in the business since 1993, and that, I mean, the media outlets and the opportunities to be able to consume news or to get news was a lot less than there is now. Sam, one thing we talk about a lot, especially when I was with the KASU and still doing that is, and a lot of people say this, where do I go for news coverage? Where am I going to go? Because there are so many sources out there. I know that's one of the things that you talk about when you talk about how journalism matters today.
Absolutely.
Talk about that and the importance of that.
One of the things is your background's going to determine where you go. If you are middle of the road, just want the facts, I always tell people, you do NPR or AP. If you are in a local paper, a local TV station, you've got to pay attention to your local news. But there are, like you see, a variety of different things out there. Bloggers who have absolutely no experience other than giving you their opinion. And anybody can go out there and give your opinion. I tell my students, not as crass as I'm about to say, but everybody's got armpits. Sometimes they stink, sometimes they don't. That's the way they are with opinions. And so you just have to be cognizant of the fact that, okay, I can go this way and get news that says this, or I can go this way and get news that says that, or I can go and try to get something that's middle of the ground. And you have to make that determination.
And why is it important to be able to really study it like this, to get a degree in it? The one thing I would say is that it prevents you from being sued because you understand about libel, slander, and you understand all those other things.
Communications, law, and ethics.
Yep.
Remember that class?
Yep.
Woo.
Everyone has to take that class, and I think Rick took it from Dr. Gambill.
Yes.
Law and ethics. And it's important. And in actuality, law and ethics is important in whatever career you're in. But it is stressed, I know it was when I was in J school, it is stressed to be ethical. One of the things that Rick talked about earlier today was owning your mistakes. And when you're ethical, when you are credible, when you want people to trust what you say, you determine to own your mistakes when you make them and do the best you can to make up for it.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on that a little bit is that, I was covering a football game and I couldn't see over there, and then I thought number 13 caught the winning touchdown pass. It was actually number 11. The mother the next morning, dear Mr. Fire, yeah, that was my son and everything. I said, it wasn't coach's fault, it wasn't my editor's fault, it was my fault. I got it wrong. And at our newspaper, you have to run a correction the next day. And we also had to fill out a form that said, why did I make this mistake? What can I do to prevent it from happening again? So, accountability, when you go all these different sources, instead of a blogger over here, we're trained. I mean, we've been doing it from outstanding universities like Arkansas State. So we know when we mess up, we're a credible source, and when you make a mistake, you got to own it.
One of the biggest mistakes I made, and I've talked about it a lot recently with my students, is that I'm a city girl to the core, okay, absolutely. I had to cover in my early days, we're talking 74, 75, a 4-H fair. I really didn't own a pair of jeans, but I went out there somewhere and I interviewed this kid who had this big bull or steer. At the time, I had to look it up to see what was the difference, and I don't remember what it was. But this little kid had this prize-winning cow person thing. And I interviewed the kid, I interviewed the mother, my photographer came out and took great pictures. The next day, I wrote a story about Chris having this big bull, steer, whatever, and that Chris had this award-winning animal. Beautiful picture. The mother called the next day, just like your person called. Mother called the next day and said, oh, I love the picture. I'm going, great. Oh, she said, Chris is a girl. Well, I saw Chris, with my biases, cowboy boots, blue jeans, plaid shirt, short hair, no hair hanging down, and a cowboy hat. Looked like a boy to me. Yeah. So I didn't ask the question, and I had to run a correction, of course. And the question that I didn't ask was, Chris is short for what?
Yeah.
Christine, Christopher. That could have solved the whole thing.
Yep. Yeah.
But no, I assumed, and that's what we train our students, and we are trained to do as journalists, not to assume. So.
Yeah.
Hey, and the one that when I was covering, before I became sports writer full-time, like I said, I was covering the city council, quorum court, and some of this stuff's kind of complicated. And I think I learned from one of my advisors here, and they said, go talk to somebody who's done it a lot. So I picked out somebody. I said, man, who's been on the city council right here? Because they were talking about stuff. I said, man, I don't even know what that is. So I go up to him and I introduce myself and I said, I didn't really get that right there. I said, talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old. I mean, I got my sippy cup right here. Talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Explain this to me. And, of course, I'm exaggerating, but they do. A lot of them, they take the time out and they say, Rick, well, this means this and this means, and that end right there. So, just, don't be ashamed. Go up there and say, I don't really understand this. Can you explain it to me?
And try to do some research beforehand.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that. Be able
Do your
to,
homework. Do your homework.
Exactly. Your homework on that. Because I like how you said that, because now what I've told students is you have to kind of think of it as, you said the 5-year-old sippy cup. I said, think of the guy, his name is Joey Bag of Donuts. Right, and
I know
so
him.
that's your time. You know him, okay? All right. So I think I have coffee with him every morning. But anyway, so that's what I have said too. And then of course, if you go into a new area, learn the names, learn the towns, learn your area as quickly as you possibly can, because I've made so many mistakes down there.
Oh, Jonathan, like I said, I'd lived in Michigan, and then when I come down here to go to school and so forth, I worked part-time for Jonesboro Sun, getting started off, and said, hey, go cover this game at Brooklyn. Okay. And I'm in there. I spelled it like Brooklyn, New York.
Oh.
It's like Brooklyn, but my editor caught it before it got out. Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the editor. Yeah.
No, we gotta have more editors. Sometimes we get in such a hurry. My goodness, for some reason, we're cutting back on editors. Every story, I want 3 or 4. Sometimes I get my wife or my neighbor to, oh, I'm busy, I'm doing this or something. No, the editors are the lifeblood of journalism.
Yeah, so in public radio, their hashtag is get an edit. That's what it is. Get an edit
so
and all
important.
that. Right. So you definitely need to have that. So here in the next, we're about to wrap this up, Rick. We really appreciate you being here today. Journalism has changed. Where do you see it kind of going? In here in the next, and why is it going to be so important as we go over the next 20, 30 years for the people who are going to be, following in your steps?
Well, I think I was talking earlier. There was a Democratic congressman, I think she's a senator, Amy Klobuchar. She's trying to get some tax breaks for newspapers. We're competing with the internet where they can just put anything on there. But, we have to, the free society, you have to have a free press, an independent voice, and it's just so important to have newspapers. I don't care if it's New York Times, LA, whatever, even your local newspapers. We've got to have that. And right now, we got too many people getting disinformation off the internet, and they don't even know what the source is that they're talking about. So I just hope we make a comeback. Hope we get some legislation going in Washington, D.C. to help these newspapers, because it's important to get your facts and not alternative facts like somebody tried to say a few years ago. I won't go into all that.
Yeah, and if you want to make Sandra cringe, write in a news story, sources say. Sources say. Okay, who? Which sources are we talking about?
And if you do that,
before words said, they tell me something, yeah, and okay, man, thank you. But don't put that in the paper. What? You just got through 10 minutes, been talking to you. But that's something you have to establish up front.
and it really messes with your credibility. Why should I believe you when you say sources say? Why should I not think that that's what you're saying and you just put sources say? No, tell me who said it.
So this is why it's important for us to be able to, for journalists, and there are students that are out here that want to go into journalism, it's important to be able to go into a place like Arkansas State that's teaching it the right way. Absolutely. And also has people like you, Rick, who's come in and you've been working in the field. I know you have these students' interest at heart. You want to be able to help them out. So thank you so much for being here today. This has been a lot of fun.
It's been a pleasure for me.
Absolutely. So that's
I get to sit down a little bit instead of following the steps and everything.
Well,
wow, this is relaxing.
Well, next time you come up, I'm just going to let you host the show. How's that? We'll just have you do it since you got a podcast. Speaking of that, real quick, your podcast, how do people find your podcast? You got a podcast of sports and stuff?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
It's a Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette prep rally podcast, I think.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Well, so we'll look at that and see what we can do on that. That's going to do it for this edition of A-State Connections. I want to thank Rick Fires, this year's Dr. Joel T. Gambill Distinguished Alumni Speaker, and also Sandra Combs, Associate Professor and Faculty Advisor to the A-State Herald, for joining me today. Also want to thank Instructor of Creative Media Production, Galen Perkins, and his amazing students who are always behind the scenes running the show. Thanks to engineers Clayton Holderfield and Jacob Keene for their help, and thank you for watching. We'll be back here next Wednesday at 1:30 for another edition of A-State Connections. And you can listen to this episode of A-State Connections by searching for Red Wolf Radio Podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. So long, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.